hello and welcome to this instructional video which will look at a performance of Ray Steadman Allen's Stantonbury Festival, in particular the third movement. Now, if you're preparing a band for a performance of this piece, you're essentially going to be working on two levels. One on the fundamental level of looking at the basics and making sure that things are together and are in tune. And then on the second, slightly higher level, you're going to be looking at more interpretative things, the style of things, that sort of thing. Realistically, you're probably going to be facing both of those simultaneously throughout your rehearsal. So let's start by running through the passage which we're going to be working on in Stantonbury Festival. Right, so it's going to be the third movement. Let's go from the beginning of the third movement. Right, okay, thanks very much. So let's first of all start at the very fundamental level and just look at a few things concerning the very basics of playing together and playing in tune. So we'll go from letter C, just where we finished there, and let's have a listen to the trombones, please. Can you play your crotchets here at letter C? Okay, and 1, 2. Right, very good. And I've got my trombones really well trained. So that sounds quite good already. But one of the things you need to pay attention to here is that all the trombones are playing the notes the same length as each other. So can we just try an experiment? Chris, can you play short? Carl, you play long. Andrew, play medium. All right, have a listen to this. This should sound wrong. And 1, 2. Right, great. Now the best way to solve this is you can hear the players individually, but ultimately the players need to be listening to each other. So the best thing to suggest to the trombones, if it sounds like that, is for them to listen to each other. So will you listen better to each other there? And you can see there are crotchets, so it's worth 2/3 of a beat, really, isn't it? Yeah. So we go. It's not even half the length of the beat, but even a little bit more than that. Keep the articulation quite fresh as well. Let's try again. See? And 1, 2. Great, great, much better. And I like the articulation there that you're putting on. It gives it a much more kind of sparkly feel when you use a harder articulation like that. Okay, good. Right, next, let's look at the accuracy of some of the notes, because the solo cornets here have the melody. So let me check that they're actually playing the right notes in the right order. So this is letter C once again. So just the front row, this is. And 1, 2. Okay, be careful of the tuning on the D flat. I can see a lot of trigger going down, but it still sounds a little bit sharp, so perhaps a touch more needed. And now, the other thing that occurs to me is, although you're managing that fine, of course, the second bar of C, the D before and the F over the bar line as well, that's a bit of a technical hurdle to overcome, isn't it, doing the two quavers on the same valve. So will you just lightly tongue the F at the beginning of the second bar of C, just to get that as clean as possible. So C once again. And 1, 2. That's the idea, yeah. So if you can all be taking the same approach to that and the same articulation measures, that's really good. Now, the third bar of C, that has an accent. Obviously, you'll see a difference in the fifth bar of C, the accent, but also within a slur. But I just want you to play it exactly the same. So play the accent on the third bar of C with a ping, and on the fifth bar of C also ba-ba-da-da, another tongue just there, right, for the avoidance of any doubts. Okay? And we're always trying to get every single player to play identically to one another. So once again, from C, and 1, 2. Now tongue. That's right. Yeah, okay, so that's the articulation that I want through there, and dynamically MF, so probably doing a little bit too much on that little discordant note, so back about 5%, something like that, okay? Right, so that's looked at the basics of just playing the right notes in the right order with the right articulation. Let's have a look at some tuning now. So I'm going to go to the basses on this one, letter B. In fact, we'll start with the basses, but we'll also have euphoniums and trombones and first and second horn. Anyone who's playing a long note, basically, at letter B, please. Okay, and 1, 2. Hang on a minute, that's not together. And 1, 2. Okay, right, so very difficult to actually play this long. This is the most difficult thing to do, really, is just to play long notes that are under control and in tune as well. And I noticed from the score that the basses have a concert D flat there, which is always really, really awkward to get in tune. So there's 3 of you have this. Can I just hear you one by one? So Rob, your E flat, please. Good, Tim. That's nice, and Kate? So that's a little bit under, isn't it? So if you can just get that one up a bit, you're on a different note, say, aren't you? Yeah, okay. So this is an easy way of hearing where there might be tuning issues, is just hear the players play the note individually. And hopefully you'll soon be able to hear where the issue is and whether the note needs to go up or down. Again, for conductors, I'd say the best advice is not to be prescriptive and tell your players whether they're out of tune, but to encourage them to think for themselves whether they need to make any adjustments and that they're listening to it all the time. Okay, right, so let's play this little passage all together now, B through to D really, which incorporates this first long note and then the cornets with the trombones at C. So here we go, letter B, and 1, 2. So that gives us a starting point there and something to work on. And really, as I said, just working on the basics, the fundaments, definitely the most important part and the part that you need to do the most work on. Now, let's go up a level now and start looking at some issues of style. And I always think a great starting point when you're considering issues of style is to look at the words that the composer has actually given you on the score. And the obvious word on this score is the second word of the title, festival, Stantonbury Festival. So the music needs to kind of have some joy and some life and some lift to it. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning of the movement now and give the band some ideas in terms of style. And the first idea really is when you start here on the cornets, I'd like you to sound as much like pealing bells as possible. So there really is something to celebrate at the start of this movement. So I wouldn't perhaps do forte pianos on the notes, but if you could put quite a lot of ping on the notes, quite a lot of front, and then come back as well. So don't insist on playing the long note really strongly through. And of course, we've got the glockenspiel and the cymbals are nice bright sounding instruments as well. So let's play the beginning and let's see how much like the peal of bells we can get this to sound like. And 1, 2. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Just give us an example of your pealing bell, Tom. Yeah, Di? So go more suddenly down, Gareth. Good. Hannah? Yeah, Harvey? Go more suddenly down, so bong, more sudden at the beginning, Harvey. Taddy? Yeah, exactly. So the idea is that every player is playing, again, exactly the same style, so we've got a real consistency of style down through the section there. So that's great. Now, when the melody comes first here in the basses and euphoniums, I'd like you to make it sound a bit more like a dance. Just a little bit heavy at the moment. I'd much rather add more lift. Bar. So perhaps press on the downbeat of each bar a little bit more than some of the other beats. Will you just play that for me? Your first entry, use some basses. Really make it dance. And 1, 2. Fantastic. Yeah, that's really got a smile on its face, hasn't it? So that's the kind of style that we need to be going for there at that particular moment. Now, the last thing that I want to say on this little video is that I've looked at a lot of little motifs there individually with sections, but what you'll find in most pieces is that the motifs don't just come once, they come a number of times, and they might spread from one section to another section. And what I would advise you to go for is some real consistency every time these little motifs spread around the section, so that your performance can have a real kind of integrity of style, so you're not presenting the same musical material in completely different styles. So that's something I always stress with the band, and it doesn't matter which piece of music we're playing, the consistency of approach to style, really, really important. So let's try and play the whole movement now. So every time we get the bell-like thing, let's have the bells. Every time we get something that goes crotchet, quaver, let's make it dance. And every time we get a crotchet and a quaver's rest, and to get quite a lot of those, always err on the side of length for those. So don't sell them short, but make sure you go a little bit on the longer side. Okay? Right, here we go. Anything drastic happens, I'll be stopping. So from the beginning, and 1, 2. Just have another look at that from letter H. It always resolves on a semitone there, so some bars have a B flat and then a B natural in. And I wasn't sure we quite agreed on the note in the second bar of H as well. So let's go from H again, please. Dum da da, lots of lift, lots of dance. Here we go, pick up into H. 1, 2, 1. Make it live, lots of dance. So in the 5th bar of L then, if you could come back a bit stronger there, front row, diminuendo to piano in the 4th bar, and then on the top G sharp, yeah, a little bit more weight from you. And also, while I'm stopped as well, I just noticed that the horns and the back row played the same musical idea, but you used different styles. So back row 2 bars before L, I really enjoyed that. I was very sprightly, very festive, dum-ba-dum-ba-dee-da-da-da, whereas horns, 4 bars before L, could certainly have been happier. You were a bit da-da-dee-da-dee, so yum-ba-dum-ba-dee-da-da-ba. Get that sense of style to it as well. So let's cover both of those points before L. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, please. 6 bars before L. 6 bars before L. Here it is. And 1, 2. So we need just a little bit of better understanding of that acceleration from letter Q. So you'll see the word now, letter Q, and really the concept is that from letter Q onwards, we just gradually get faster right up until the end of the piece. We don't really want to be going particularly fast by the end, but if you're aiming for something like da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, that sort of speed by the time we get through to the end. And like I say, it moves on a gradual line like that. The other thing I'll mention, really important, is the need not to play too loud too soon. So have a look at your parts. I'm going to start at letter Q. What's your dynamic at Q? It's single forte, isn't it? And then now we start to accelerate. Then we get to letter R. The acceleration is happening, but here for the first time it says crescendo. You've got 4 bars then to get from forte through to fortissimo, which then lasts through to the end of the piece. Finally, before the end, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bars before the end, everyone goes to dotted crotchets. I'd like to rehearse this before we do the whole thing again. So 9 before the end. Can you all play? This is going to be a crucial point because everyone has a dotted crotchet on the first beat and nothing on the second beat. So if people aren't playing the same length as each other, it really, really does notice. So here we go. This is going to be slightly faster, as I said. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. So here's 2 bars in. And 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, that's not in tune, that last note there, trombone, so sort that please. Once again, you see the need for real accuracy on length. 2 bars again. 1, 2, 2, 2. And then we move on to the last note. Okay, so pay attention to that when we get there. Right, back to letter Q then. So we're at the slower speed, accelerate to R, from R accelerate and get louder, and then give me that little moment of clarity just near the end as well, like we just rehearsed. Here we go, Q, and 1, 2. There we go. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Certainly not a contest-ready performance yet, but I think we've still got a few weeks before the contest, so I'd be happy with the piece in that position just now. If you have enjoyed our video and you'd like to donate to help get us to the Europeans this year, please have a look at our Just Giving page. And if you have enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more along these lines, please leave us a comment.